The mahogany table gleamed under the chandelier's yellow light. 6 men sat around it, the smell of aftershave and polished leather thick in the air. Riley Anderson pressed her palms together under the table, feeling the faint vibration of her father's voice as he spoke. "Markets have been volatile," he declared, settling into grandfather's chair as if born to it. "But discipline separates us from amateurs." The others nodded like loyal shareholders in a private kingdom. Charts lay scattered across the table, untouched by the only person who actually read them. Riley's chair, by the window, had been reserved for her since childhood. A courtesy seat, the kind given to a spectator at her own family's empire. Outside, snow brushed the glass. Inside, Dad droned on about Wellington management and long-term discipline. Riley's coffee had gone cold an hour ago. They didn't know that while they bragged about inherited wealth, she had been quietly building her own. She remembered the first time she'd asked to learn. 16, notebook open, heart full of curiosity. "Sweetheart," her father had said, patting her head, "investing isn't really a woman's strength. You're better with creative things." He hadn't meant cruelty, only certainty, the kind passed down like family silver. But the words had planted something hard and bright inside her. So she learned in silence. She read every book in her father's library, annotated the ones with dust still on the covers, opened her first brokerage account at 21 with $3,000 from summer jobs. She made mistakes, lost sleep, and found patterns. By 25, she was managing hundreds of thousands. By 27, millions. She lived quietly, dressed modestly, paid attention. And when she discovered the fine print of the Anderson Family Investment Trust, the loophole allowing shares to be sold, her pulse steadied. Opportunity had a heartbeat. Now, in this room of men too proud to read their own contracts, Riley smiled faintly. Her father was quoting someone else's analysis again, mistaking parroting for expertise. "Riley," he said, noticing her silence, "you should be taking notes. Maybe someday you'll understand enough to manage a savings account." She nodded politely, hiding the grin behind her cup. Maybe someday indeed. The following months became a private chess match. Riley began visiting relatives, small talks wrapped in casual questions. "Uncle Tom, are you happy with Wellington's returns?" He sighed. 12% isn't terrible, but for the fees they charge, each conversation revealed cracks. Marcus needed capital for his restaurant. Derek barely opened his statements. Uncle Tom felt trapped by tradition. Riley offered release. "I'll buy your shares," she told each of them separately, her tone steady, her math impeccable. Above market value. Cash. Skepticism gave way to curiosity once they saw her track record. 5 years of 28% annual returns. She wasn't bluffing. In quiet offices and private notaries, she gathered signatures. By the end of 18 months, her name appeared on 65% of the trust's documents, hidden behind clean corporate structures. No one noticed, no one looked. At night, she worked alone in her apartment, screens glowing blue against her determined face. She studied balance sheets like poetry, portfolios like anatomy. She didn't just want wealth, she wanted mastery. She replaced Wellington's expensive managers with her own registered investment firm, herself. She diversified intelligently, rebalanced monthly, cut dead weight, reinvested profits. And when the quarterly report came back, the numbers gleamed, 23% growth. She should have felt triumph. Instead, a quiet ache. The part of her still wanted acknowledgement, a simple, "You were right." But old wounds rarely healed with validation. They healed with victory. Her father sent another invitation, annual Anderson Family Investment Meeting, December. This time, she wasn't coming to observe. December arrived dressed in frost. The dining table had replaced grandfather's study, but the tone was the same, men discussing numbers they didn't understand. Her father cleared his throat. Wellington's Q4 report shows strong performance, up 14% this year. Riley suppressed a laugh. 14? Try 26. The data in his hands was 2 years out of date. Uncle Bob nodded, smug. This is why we trust professionals. Not everyone can grasp market complexities. Exactly, Dad said. We think generationally. It's not a game for dabblers. Riley sipped her coffee silent. Then Derek spoke softly, almost apologetically. I sold my shares last year. To Riley. The room froze. You what? Her father barked. 5% stake. She offered above market. Uncle Tom folded his arms. I sold mine too. 18 months ago. Marcus raised a hand. 10%. Restaurant funding. The air thickened with disbelief. Her father turned to her, color draining from his face. You bought their shares? Riley set her cup down gently. Yes. I currently own 65% of the trust. Uncle Bob's voice cracked. Impossible. You couldn't afford that. I earned it, she said quietly. Started with 3,000. Grew it to over 1 million before 27. Leveraged, reinvested, outperformed Wellington every year since. Her father stood abruptly. You fired Wellington? I had the authority, she replied. Majority ownership. At that exact moment, a knock. The housekeeper ushered in Martin Caldwell from Wellington Investment Management. Mr. Anderson, he said, uncomfortable. Ms. Anderson terminated our contract 16 months ago. The silence that followed was seismic. For a long moment, no one breathed. Her father stared at the papers Martin handed him, termination notices, filings, all legally sound. The color returned to his cheeks, this time bright red. You've been running the trust? Yes, Riley said. And outperforming your professionals by 12 percentage points. This is madness, Uncle Bob muttered. It's math, Riley countered. And competence. She walked to the head of the table, the seat her father had occupied for decades, and placed her hands flat on the polished wood. You told me investing wasn't a woman's strength. That I should stick to savings accounts. But I've doubled the family's wealth while you were busy writing checks for management fees. Her father's voice trembled. You humiliated us. No, she said softly. I protected us. You were losing millions to complacency. I fixed it. The Wellington representative cleared his throat. For the record, Ms. Anderson's strategy yielded exceptional returns. Her management is impressive. When he left, silence returned, heavy but different now. The foundation of their certainty had cracked. Uncle Tom exhaled slowly. For what it's worth, I don't regret selling. The trust's up 30% since you took over. Marcus nodded. Same here. Learned more from your quarterly reports than Wellington ever taught me. Only her father remained standing, staring out the window like a dethroned monarch. When did you learn all this? He whispered. When you told me I couldn't. Weeks passed before her father called. Coffee? He'd asked. Neutral ground. At the cafe, he looked older, his voice smaller. I read your reports. Every line. You were right. He stirred his cup absently. I owe you an apology. I told myself I was protecting you, but I was protecting my ego. The idea that my daughter could be better at this than me, he trailed off. Riley studied him, the man who once filled every room with certainty. Now he looked human. You built your identity around inherited wealth, she said gently. I built mine from scratch. He nodded. And you built it better. Can you forgive me? She hesitated, the ache of years pressing in. The countless dismissals, the polite smiles, the empty praise. I can, she said finally. But I won't apologize for changing the rules. I'm managing the trust for its future, not your comfort. A faint smile ghosted across his lips. Fair enough. Bob and I decided not to sell. Your results are too good. Riley chuckled softly. Smart investment. He looked up. Maybe you could teach us? Actually teach us this time. She leaned back, eyes softening. If you're willing to learn. He nodded. After this year, it's clear I never knew as much as I thought. His gaze warmed. I'm proud of you, Riley. I should have said that years ago. For the first time, his words didn't sound like charity. They sounded like truth. The next annual meeting felt different. Riley sat at the head of the table, grandfather's old seat, while the men listened. She presented charts, projections, risk analyses. They took notes. They asked smart questions. Progress in suits and silence. When she finished, she took a breath. One more proposal, she said. We open trust participation to all family members, women included. Uncle Tom raised a hand instantly. Agreed. Marcus and Derek followed. Her father glanced at Uncle Bob, then nodded. Agreed. Riley smiled. Then it's done. The Anderson Trust just became gender neutral. After the meeting, her father lingered. Your grandfather would have been proud, he said quietly. He built this trust hoping someone would grow it. You're the first who actually did. She met his gaze. Grandpa never excluded women. That was your generation's idea. He laughed softly, almost embarrassed. Fair point. You improved more than the portfolio. That evening, driving home through the winter dusk, Riley felt the calm that follows a storm. The house lights blurred in the snow, the city humming like a living ledger. Her phone buzzed, a message from her mother. Your cousin Jenna wants to talk about investing. I told her you're the expert now. Proud of you, sweetheart. Riley smiled, eyes shining in the rearview mirror. She'd started with $3,000 and a lifetime of skepticism. Now she managed $100 million and a legacy rewritten in her own name. The men who told her to stick to savings accounts now waited for her quarterly reports. Sometimes revenge isn't loud, it's profitable. Sometimes the sharpest blade is competence. Riley had turned dismissal into dividends, doubt into dominance, and silence into the sound of respect. The empire she inherited had finally learned its most valuable lesson: never underestimate the woman sitting quietly by the window.